Hello, my name is Lennart Rick. I am the developer and artist for the indie game Lost Jungle in Sector 17. I'm from Estonia, so my English has some accent to it. I hope it isn't too bad. In this video, I'm going to take you through our prototype demo and comment on some of our design choices and also what we want to do with the final game. Everything you see here is already developed and you can play it easily in your browser right now, so feel free to try it out. The link to the prototype is in the description. In the demo, you control this fighter craft and you have to defend the space station from the hostile forces. There's going to be a deeper story in the final game, but for the demo we wanted to keep it short and keep the demo more gameplay focused. So you control your craft with keyboard and mouse. We are using the classic WASD setup. W key activates your main thrusters and makes the ship go forward. A, D and S keys activate the side and front thrusters. Well, there is no gravity in this game and it's open space, so when you have a momentum and you release the controls, you will keep floating to space until your computer runs out of RAM, which will probably take a few weeks. You can use the spacebar to come to a complete stop. The keys are relative to the craft, meaning that depending where the craft is pointing, the W key always makes the craft go forward and the S key always makes it go backward. We have got a lot of feedback on our current controls, and we are soon going to also release an alternate version with the absolute controls relative to the screen. You can shoot the plasma cannons with the left mouse button. I recommend keeping an eye on the cannon's cooldown meter, and shooting should be done in short, precise bursts. As you can see, we have some hostile crafts harassing our space station, so let's try to take them out. The enemies are almost always moving in this game, so to be effective against them, you have to use the deflection shooting technique, meaning you have to lead the target. I'm going to talk a little about the game's interface now. This section down here displays the different stats of your fighter craft. The blue bars display your shields and the red bars your health. Your shields are always regenerating, and you can also slowly regenerate your health, but for that you have to hover over the space station. The green circle, like we already talked about, is your cannon's cooldown meter, and the number inside shows the shots you have left. This light blue section down here displays the missile stats. You can launch missiles with your right mouse button. The missiles are very powerful, but regenerate slowly, so use them wisely. Up here are displayed the shield and health of your space station. You will lose in this game either when your craft or the space station get destroyed, so make sure you keep a close eye on those stats. A little bit to the right here are stats about your turrets and allied crafts. However, they aren't working in the demo since we haven't implemented them yet. To the left, your score is displayed, or to be more precise, should be displayed, since we haven't implemented that either. We want to have a global high score table for the final game. I have to pause for a moment, since we need to take care of this next craft. It has a special ability and is a little trickier than those we have seen so far. It teleports away when you shoot at it, and it's immune to the missiles. It also has very powerful projectiles, so I wouldn't recommend attacking it straight on. What you need to do is strafe past the projectiles and attack it close up before it can teleport away. We don't have many special ability crafts in the demo, but we do want to create a lot more of them for the final version. We want them to be like little puzzles, which player has to figure out how to solve. So, back to the interface. On the upper right there is credit. Credit is the currency in this game, and it's given for each destroyed hostile craft. You can use this credit to purchase turrets and allied crafts to help defend the station. Here is the upgrades, buildings and allied crafts section. This here should show the number of enemies, and here is the radar screen. Neither of them have yet to be implemented. So let's build us some defenses. In the demo version we only have available 2 turrets. The double barrel turret is better for taking down massive enemies that get too close to the base, while the other turret is good for taking down enemies at a distance. The one tactical building in the demo gives player the ability to see hostile craft's health, and also highlights them for better recognition. We have only one allied craft available right now. It isn't very strong, but it is fast, and its powers come out when it's in the back of many. For the final game, we are planning on creating more allied crafts, turrets, and tactical buildings. We also want to introduce an upgrade system which lets the player upgrade his fighter craft and his base defense assets. It's time to see now how our new defense investments will do. So that worked out quite well, and as you saw, my allied crafts did most of the work. Once bought, the allied units and turrets act independently. We hope that this makes the game more manageable and frees player more time to concentrate on controlling his own craft. Here's one feature we haven't talked about yet. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in or out for different overview. While zoomed in, it's easier to aim, and it's best used for close combat situations. The zoomed out view, however, gives a greater overview over the battlefield, so one can make better tactical decisions about his next moves. As we are still very early in development, we haven't yet introduced one important part of any game. You can hear the music in the background, but there are no sound effects. We feel that sound effects have such a big role in making or breaking a game that we want to take extra caution in that area. A recurring bad laser sound can quickly become extremely irritating. Also, we have to take into consideration the hectic nature of the game. 10 explosions going off in 2 seconds, coupled with projectiles hitting the shields and metal. How to make this sound tolerable to the air? Furthermore, there is no sound in space, so do we go with realistic setting or aim more towards the Hollywood? I'm now going to play through the final level of this demo. Currently the game is wave based and mostly revolves around defending the space station. We do have plans for creating a mission editor which would give us the opportunity to put together special missions for the players to take on. Additionally, all the units right now are smaller fighter crafts. For the final version, we want to add colossal enemy ships, which would have their own turrets and fleet, and maybe some different special abilities. I hope you have noticed how I get pushed away when I'm too close to the explosions, because one thing we already have is physics engine, which I think has turned out pretty awesomely. All the explosions and projectiles carry force with them and act according to the Newton's third law. So we are currently engaged in this final boss fight, and as you can see, I am intensely avoiding those red beams, because getting caught in them would cost dearly. As long as I keep moving, he can't hit me. For the final version, we want to improve the current AI drastically. For example, the AI crafts would be able to predict the future positions of objects in motion and adjust their aim accordingly. Another improvement we are thinking of programming is the fight or flight response. When an AI controlled unit would detect low shield levels of his craft, it would try to escape from the battle to regenerate its shields before returning. We feel that changes like these would make the game much more dynamic. Before we get to the end, I want to talk a little about the tutorials. You might have noticed me using the skip button next to the dialog window throughout this video. The reason for this is that our current tutorials are text-based, and since I already know all about them, mostly because I wrote them, I just skip them. But for anyone playing the demo for the first time, I strongly suggest checking them out. For the final version, we want to create animated and interactive tutorials, so the process wouldn't be so passive. And this concludes our short prototype demo. One thing which will have a major role in the final game What I didn't talk about is the story and the characters. However, you can read all about it in the story section below. If you think this game has potential, please support our small Kickstarter campaign.